ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
And I'm Rangru, low, low, low.
And folks, today we're going to give you one of the final games of the SD2 Redstorm 44 mod finals. Yes, that's right, on Brest West, which is not the Brest map in the game, mind you. We're going to give you a nice little duking it out between two players. Sorry, who do we have on the left-hand side, who's on the right, and what are they bringing to the fray?
Well, on left hand side in blue, we have Ort playing as 16th Panzer, and on the right hand side in red, we have Wreath playing 10th Guard Tank Corps. We're only going to be casting one of the games from the finals. We'll explain once the replay is over, but essentially all you need to know, humble viewer, is that the winner of this match will be the one who won the finals overall. So, yeah. And this is a pretty great division matchup. Two pretty much super heavy tank divisions going at it. Tigers, Panthers, and King Tigers from one side, and IS-2s and T-34-85s from the other.
Well, and not to be outdone, too, there's still also reasonable air presence, really, from both sides as well. This is one of the few, I think, air matchups where we have double digits on both sides. The infantry is not going to be, I would argue, the major point of this particular game.
Yeah, which is quite funny.
Yeah, because we're so often just kind of like, all right, and here's a strokey spam, and all right, here's a strokey spam, but that doesn't look like it's going to be happening today. Well, we'll hope maybe it's not going to happen today. We'll see.
Yeah, this is a pretty infantry-ish heavy map, especially down south. I mean, up north is definitely more tank focused, but down south is very heavily forested here. I mean, both sides just have a whole lot of tank cards to, bring onto the field. So I don't think we're going to be running out of armor assets anytime soon.
No, but if the Germans aren't careful, they're going to run out of some of those spot troops. And say what you will, but those spot troops are not terrible. And you know what's probably the best thing I could say about them is they are not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very small squad, but one MG42 is, or 34, is all you really need to catch an enemy infantry out in the open with their pants down with 8mm Mauser.
That certainly is the case, and there's this 3 over hill here on this hillside. This is a disturbingly good position for it. Just to the east of this town, back on this ridgeline. I mean, if you're looking at this right here, that is a commanding presence. Don't care who you are, what you do. That's not something you want to be dealing with from an attacking perspective.
Yeah, I mean that right-hand flank here, that hill position gives you so much, potential firepower support down into the valley. And we're seeing that Z3 doing that pretty effectively, as that one guard motor strictly squad is gonna be in for a bad time.
He is, but again, these guys are meant to be breakwaters, and oof, what's engaging him down here? So we have also a T-34-85, who's gonna start scrapping over here from a distance. And actually with the Razvedka up on the hillside, the Razvedka doesn't see a whole lot of the Stroki squads who are seeing a ton here. Interesting.
Interesting indeed. Looking down south, we got Moto Saparis securing the forest. And yeah, Ort doesn't have a whole lot of... Well, he does have a decent amount of CQC infantry, but no in comparisons usually compared to the Russians. So running into a forest, especially with his infantry selection down south, is not going to be conducive to his health.
Yeah, but conducive or not, I mean, he still has the Kriegs veterans, which again, give him a little bit of stress resilience, give him a little bit of accuracy. I'm pulling up the thing right now for my viewers here. And really, that accuracy is not going to offset the HE explosives. I want to come back to that in just a second as well. But it will go at least a little bit of distance in trying to at least kind of make this a little bit less obviously easy, I would say, for the superiors to kind of take for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is they can control the road, so if they do decide to cross the road to get to the other side, they'll be greeted by MG40 or MG34 fire.
Yeah, I imagined if they ever cross the road in the first place, it's because they're following that capitalist chicken who just wants to keep his eggs for himself.
And he needs to distribute the eggs.
Exactly, we've got to return them to the people. They belong to the hens. The hens deserve to have the eggs. But I do want to talk something about, we were talking about this before we went live here. Had a viewer who posted a comment over on one of the videos recently decrying the kind of HE spam that we see in the forests. And, you had a point that I think I'd really like you to bring back up. What'd you say about that?
Yeah, like, satchel charges are very powerful in CQC, like forest fights, but it's really all they're really good for, including flamethrower teams. I mean, rarely as model superiors are, for example. They can actually get shot at by SMGs and LMGs before they can get that satchel charge off. So, yes, they're very powerful in, like, the deep CQC situations, as the alpha damage is always very, very good, but it's still pretty limited in their use. Especially once you get into town fights, they do require a little bit of micro to actually get into position to begin with, where an LMG can just zone out an entire area.
So basically what he's saying to you folks out there is only you can prevent forest fighters.
Yeah, and, you know, just better micro is really how you have to kind of, like, deal with it. And mortars. If you know he has a bunch of angry satchel charge guys, fly a recon plane over the forest and just bombard it to hell. The satchel charge isn't gonna beat a 105mm artillery shell.
Most likely not.
Oh.
And we are going to see something down here, this kind of meager, kind of half-hearted attempt moving forward to 3 Strelky squads. There's a Kamaraji backing them up, but there is an MG42 that just has this huge beaten area in front of it. And that guy's in an excellent position to kind of keep things kind of copacetic. Unfortunately for them, when I say them, of course I mean the Axis powers here, we are going to see that there is a knifing group of Soviets who's moving east to west here. Not going to be super effective in taking on this town unless the BA-10 really gets going. But regardless, looks like they had a 14-10 there for half a second. So.
Yeah, just putting fire on that 1MG42 team to allow the infantry to move up. Probably not the smartest move, moving the Comrati up first, as the Pioneers and Panzer Grenadiers are still near, but we do have lovely fire support from the ZIS-3 at long range, blowing up at MG42 team. But at the same time, I mean, Ort has a grill of his own, which is pounding the northern ZIS-3 to a pulp.
Yeah, but you know what? He just wants to do some barbecuing. I understand. You know, it's summertime. You want to get out, enjoy that sun. Maybe get a little bit a slight tan. Of course, that BA-10 gets a little bit more burned by that Stug.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why you wear sunscreen, man. You got to go put that camouflage net over top. It makes sense.
Yeah, the Germans have a very weird concept of grilling. I didn't realize it involved a 150mm artillery gun. Do they sell them in Home Depot, Khan? I think I might have to try it the German way next time.
It's not my part of the states. You got to check Mississippi for that. They sell all kind of weird things down there. But I will tell you, you're right about the picnicking thing. When you worry about bears coming to your picnic, when the Germans show up with a bear to your picnic, at that point you run away and get under something that's got a lot more armor than your average gazebo.
Yeah, or tigers. German tigers in the picnic just ruin the entire thing.
So basically, you're saying, contrary to what the popular belief is, they are not great.
Yeah, not great indeed, Khan. Not at all.
Gotcha. Looking down to the south, we have a little bit of a quiet moment here. Guys, just reflecting upon life and trying to make sure they can kind of keep things really down pat. Superior's throwing down some smoke, and for good reason. They're not going to be able to go up against those half-tracks and the Krieg's veterans and the Stugs that are over here. So, I mean, like, the Stugs don't have a great amount of sight, but it's just enough to cause some hassles if they want to try to cross that road. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, really, our entire southern defense is just banking on keeping the Russian infantry in that forest and just fighting over that flag and the edge of the front line back and forth. I won't be surprised if both sides eventually get commanders down there for that front line influence bonus. But we got Recon Motosilky going in for the flank here, hitting up that Pioneer Führer, but the Pioneer Führer can slap back with that satchel charge of his.
He can slap back, that's true. But this is one of the weird times when the Svedka is probably a much meatier target than even those officers are prepared to deal with.
Yeah, and 2-5 runs in a great position. There's no anti-tank rifles to threaten their run-over frail and meager frontal armor. So, yeah, I think just enough fire support here will shut down this push here from Wreath.
Unless, of course, you throw grenades and perhaps even a frag? No, he's not going to throw a frag. Of course not. Why would he throw a frag in there? That would make way too much sense. But the Resvetkas are able to push over that road. So those recon troops are just way too good to be denied.
Oh, they're getting, like, almost pinned down. They took heavy casualties, so they're gonna get pushed back eventually, I believe. Yeah, I'm quite surprised. I mean, you see half-tracks here not dying immediately. They're actually able to provide effective fire support for a change.
For now, yes.
There we go, that push is going to be forced back. We do have a T-34-85 being brought in as well. Not the best position for it, really more T-34-76 territory in that southern flank, but can definitely halt any armor advances if Ort tries to do anything sneaky down south.
You know, I keep squirting between northern and southern kind of positions here because the T-34-76 trying to engage a Shug, and that's really only going to have one way that that duel should end. Of course, I say that, and that's immediately tank commander killed. But, you know, looking outside at it, theoretically, there really should be only one way that should end. But apparently nobody told that T-34-76.
Yeah. He's really holding on there. A little bit of a thread. But that's definitely more of a T-30-45 territory where he is, and as we can clearly see, he's probably regretting his defensive position.
Yeah, I mean, you might think he was cruising for a bruising, but his tracks are broken, so it's a little hard to be cruising at that point. But another round of infantry being sent on in, as well as a couple of T-34-76 Convertis. Looking to restart that push down here to the south, it looks like, but the Germans not to be outdone, rolling in their own company of infantry. You know, you might even call them a company of heroes, at least from the Axis side of things. And, you know, I finally found out there's Company of Heroes 3 coming out at some point, I think later this year, and this completely blew my mind. Did not realize that game was having a sequel. Or second sequel, I suppose. Another guerrilla going to be engaged in this collection of infantry down here to the south. And, with the spot troops, I'm wondering... Is this a contain, or do you think that he's going to try to push him back through this forest?
That's a really good question, because you don't really use SPA troops in direct frontline fights, especially in CQC. That's usually how they get killed. I'd hope that he's just trying to hook him around down south to maybe get behind enemy lines and do some, you know, rear line reconnaissance. But no, it does seem like he's just kind of frontally charging them, which is not the best way to use SPA troops.
No, it isn't, but that is certainly the best way to use a grill.
Yeah.
You know, other than making burgers with it. Of course, I imagine, as we kind of speak, he sort of is turning the Kombrati and the Vesvetka into human hamburger, but I'm not really sure I'm really that hungry for it when that meat is particularly cooked. Yeah, yowza.
It's such a huge bloody shell here. Getting that Panzer Grenadier. Definitely a little bit danger close to the artillery. All the T-34 goes down to a Panzerfaust shot, and yeah, Ort is going to be able to secure the southern flank. For now, I mean, we've got a whole heap of veteran superiors being brought in, so it could definitely stem the tide.
And even more are being brought on in. Forgive me, I was kind of trying to count how many were there. So we have 4 squads of veteran superiors, and another 4 squads behind that, as well as an Su-85. I feel like Wreath is certainly looking to, you know, maybe ring in the new year by throwing a ton of material down here.
Yeah, same thing with Voltio. He's got like a platoon of Jempanzans, Grenadiers, Pioneers as well, which are excellent CQC because they do have the satchel charges and more half-track fire support, so this will just get pretty deadly down south, I think.
You know, one thing I'm surprised is not being done. I'm surprised that these Kombroti and the Superiors have not hooked south around this forest and flanked up and around. I feel like that's a far less imminently mortal situation coming across there.
Yeah.
Call me old-fashioned. Focke-Wulf is up in the air, though. Sturmovik coming the other direction. And head on. I'm not sure who's going to win this, but 37 mil is going to pop up, and
of course,
it's an IL too, so therefore it shall never die.
I wouldn't expect anything else, and he is going to go for that grill. The grill is going to dodge his own barbecue, yeah.
I think it's more of a warning shot more than anything like an actual attack, though.
Yeah, it seemed much more of just a blind fire attack position rather than direct knowledge on the grill position.
True.
Which is funny because he has that multi superior, which he probably move up to get eyes on.
It certainly does seem to be a possibility. Interesting. There's a bit of a weird kind of artillery duel happening here as an SU-122 is shooting to find a Pack 40. And I think both grills are trying to find the SU-122. So, very, very strange interactions going on here. Also, I also missed there's a Boita Tiger that's up here, the T6 Tiger. And just some other standard kind of infantry.
There's also another German Tiger up north, so it's going to be a cat fight in a minute.
I confess I am far more fascinated about this slap fight that's going to go down on in this forest down here to the south.
Oh yeah, all the Superiors and the Pioneers. That's a whole heat of troops on both sides, and this is going to be a lot of explosives.
Certainly would expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Capenta Grenadiers are not going to do particularly well, and I'm actually kind of shocked. Oh, yeah, jeez. So the Pioneer, the Capenta Pioneers, endless half-tracks are going to just squeeze just behind him.
Yeah, gonna do a maneuver here, trying to get behind the enemy. Gonna run into, Saproof. I'm not gonna try the 14-man Redevka squad, which are pretty nasty stuff. Feel sorry for the one guy who stuck with them. Oh, 5 guys stuck with them, also never mind. Still sucks for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those occasions where I don't really want to be recon troops in the back lines, and then I realize, oh my gosh, never mind, I have an entire company of troops behind him.
Yep. This, like, frantic maneuver from both sides as Wreath is now moving the Superiors back to deal with his flank from Ort, who was flanking Wreath to begin with, and now he got T-34s being brought in, and up north, some Panzer Grenadiers coming in as well with half-track support. It's just absolute madness.
No, this is Brest West. I meant to kick you into a pit right about now, but we have the rest of the cast to do, so, you know. Yeah, it doesn't translate quite as well through digital media. You know, after the pandemic is past, I'll kick you into a pit. Okay?
Or Niagara Falls.
You know what? I was there a few weeks back. It's still beautiful. Oh my gosh, man, I gotta tell you. But veteran superiors over here, they are going to start to clean up these pioneers, especially when the pioneers decide to fall back into their waiting, loving communist arms. And there we go. They surrender to the Grand Comrade himself.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still an awful lot of half-tracks going on around here. But more superiors are being delivered to the front lines, more fresh meat for the fray. And there's still a Combrati and SU-85 in the area, so I guess if you're looking to the southern side, at least for the moment, it's really just these P4s that are going to keep things at a relative distance from one another.
Yeah, it's really just, you got the tanks on both hills, just providing long-range fire support. I mean, a Panther does have a slight angle to snipe units coming down the road, just 200 meters or so. And now up north, we've got a little bit of a furball here, some Messerschmitt 210s going after the IL-2.
You know, you say it's a furball as if they have a chance of even taking out the IL-2.
That's a good point. Never a chance to shoot down IL-2, especially if a Messerschmitt 210. Not exactly the scariest fighter aircraft.
So with that kind of in mind, I'm going to return my attention back down here to this giant, weird, swirling melee. As the P4 is desperately trying to kind of keep things more or less contained, but there's so much freaking Soviet infantry here. I feel like an entire card's worth of troops over here from the Germans is not even going to be enough to keep this contained.
Yeah.
It'd be impossible.
You really need, like, that grill and more artillery and airplane support to knock out that huge horde of superiors. And it is essentially a horde at this point.
I mean, and he's got the artillery in his deck. It's just, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Really, really expensive.
They got the off map, and then you got the grills. And the grills right now are currently out of ammunition. So they could use a good old supply truck. But up north, we've actually seen our first King Tiger of the match here. And we also got that other Tiger still up here. So, really, if you have a King Tiger, if you're investing that many points into it, you need to make a push happen. That's what you need to do. And up north would definitely be good King Tiger territory.
Plus 85 in the south going down, and a mobile wagon. Oh man, that's such a spot in my heart for it. I was gonna say a soft spot, but at that point I'd be talking about the armor on that thing, which is to say not at all. And down south it looks actually there's a Panther and a Stug, and MGs, and half-tracks, and anti-aircraft positions. So this position, at least for right now, is not going to explode, I think, in real kind of crazy action.
Yeah. IR2 managing to get a weapons jam on the 210 here. And the mobile wagon is moving and shooting, so of course he's not going to hit anything.
Oh, please don't hit anything in the first place. ME210 does go down. I think the mobile wagon's more of like a fireworks position. Like you just kind of loft some shots just to know that you're celebrating them. This ME210 I think has a far more of a chance, and maybe, yep, there we go.
I think that's a bug. I don't believe IR2's meant to die.
Actually, you know what happened? There was a desync from the replay, and the desync was just kind of like, oops.
Must be it. That must be it. But yeah, 210 also managing to stress out the AK-9. Will the 210 get a rally? Well, the AK-9 does, and that's for damn sure.
Actually, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. I think the IL-2Z was going down. He had one of those Robin Hood moments, and it was like, wait a second, I lost? I'm not supposed to lose. I got shot down? So, I'm sure he was, flaming out and flaming, just furious the entire way down to the ground. More and more Soviet infantry is being churned in here to the south. But one thing we did miss is we missed this giant kind of flex in the center. You can see we have, 11 squads of, whether it's guard Strelkys or a couple Superiors are still in there as well. No, that's 12, jeez. 11 guards and 1 Superior. And they are slowly meandering their way to the west. Kind of expected a slightly more aggressive push here, but there's not a whole lot to stop them. And I mean, there still is that MG42. So, I'm wondering what they're expecting to do about that.
I think he's just hoping to just capture that one flag, which he should easily do once he kills that Panzergrenadier Führer, which are out in the open. They should be pretty easy pickings for the Russian infantry, yeah. And this is really what this map kind of boils down to, is just getting that 1 or 2 flag advantage. You're not really going to make any crazy major breakthroughs as we're seeing, especially down south, of how much of a meat grinder it is. And also, I think it's pretty safe kind of retake us at times too.
Okay, do that 23?
Yep.
Alrighty. You see the first guard squads over here running up against MG34s and Panzergrenadier Führers to the south. Now, as you can kind of expect, these guys right here, just by sheer weight of numbers, I think they're going to kind of win out, but it ain't going to be easy. We go to the south, the meat grinder continues, and Focke-Wulf's coming in just doesn't, oof.
Ooh!
Their own guys, so danger very close there.
Yeah.
Looking otherwise, seeing a lot of varied just material kind of going all over the place. IL-2 coming in. A second IL-2.
Again? This is getting weird now. I think having... Well, it's only like 2 Flak 38 down south. It's not even that much. It was a pretty lucky critical hit.
True, but the Commandant's still there too. I mean, the Commandant does still give that nice little bonus.
Oh yeah, that helps out as well. Yeah, we're seeing another horde of infantry here from Wreath pushing through. And Wreath does definitely have the infantry numbers to continue these assaults. Ort, not so much. So he does have the half-track support, which have proven to be very, useful considering the lack of anti-tank rifles that Wreath has been using.
I think these 536 is going to claim another victim here. Maybe these are the 210s instead. Huh. Oh. The 210s that kill a Yak-9. Jeez.
Pretty decent if you can get a head-on fight at least. A cheap fighter plane, but not a great fighter plane, of course. Just
well, and that's kind of a funny thing. Head-to-heads are just really not a good idea. Ooh, King Tiger takes out the captured T6 to the north. Siren over here, or Zeven rather, whatever.
Yeah, that's the name for its turret. Because you have the Porsche Tiger and the Heinzko Tiger, the whole turret thing. That's not really accurate in the turret designs I'm not even gonna get into it, but apparently that's the proper name for the King Tiger Henschel turret, quote unquote. I'll leave someone in the comments to explain it.
That's a rooster moment if I've ever heard one. Air
Yes.
coverage just continues to loft rounds, back towards the ground. Lots of rockets being deployed here, but really not up to a lot of effect. And back in the center position, that the P Ground Fuhrer does get forced back. But Ort, not to be outdone, still has the MG, he still has support fire, and those Strelkies are going to get forced back pretty soon, I'd imagine.
Yeah, if he keeps moving up, but if he displays that defensive position where he is, he's going to be fine. And really, Wreath is in a pretty decent spot. I mean, he has that one flag advantage, which is really all you're going to get in a map such as this. So just as long as he can secure it, especially down south where it's getting a bit dicey, which is going to be the, I think, main point of contention here for the rest of the match. I mean, he can just slowly whittle down Ort.
And that's kind of the thing, isn't it? Is that Ort really has to kind of keep on the ball. He doesn't have the infantry advantage. He's got a vehicle advantage, but he still has to be rather efficient in how he deploys them because they're just so stinking expensive.
Yeah.
And another IL-2 goes down. He does claim a kill of his own, but an IL-2 goes down to ground fire now. So we are in some weird Twilight Zone kind of levels of material because I don't ever know that I've ever seen this many IL-2s die in 30 minutes. I was gonna say, let alone an entire game.
Yeah, it's getting pretty deadly to be an IL-2 in the air now. I mean, it has a decent... an alright anti-aircraft net. It's really more of the airplane just to be doing the work, but overall, like, Ort has been building up quite a bit of a decent tank force all over, but he hasn't been able to do really too much with them. I mean, the King Tiger is definitely being played much more defensively up north, which I would like to see it do offensive plays, but at the same time, understandable for the points investment. He's pretty happy in just controlling that one flag and just denying anything from even thinking about moving in the open up north.
It's fascinating. There's a Katyusha who's going to go and obliterate this position of Panthers and Stugs and Commandants and everything like that. I'm not sure I really would have donated an aircraft to really just kind of scout that out. Unless my Katyusha was a little bit closer, because you can see right now he's got maybe 5% stress on one particular tank, and that's it. I mean, that is hard-won intelligence there.
Yeah, he really should have probably fired it more on the front line in a big blob right on the flag, because he'd probably get some more interesting kills and knock out those 2-5 runs, which are a little bit less resilient to rocket artillery dropping on their head.
Mm-hmm.
Being like a convertible and all, they really sort of took the hard top option when buying half-track.
Yeah, but that kicked up the monthly payment for a couple of hundred, and that was an issue at the time. That was still in Weimar bucks. So.
Must have cost a few billion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really the question of why ask Weimar. So it's a whole thing. It's a weird marketing slogan if I've ever heard one. Guards are going to attempt to get across this road again, but even smoke. I mean, I've heard that people say that smoke saves. I think that smoke is just kind of begging for someone to start firing blindly through it. And when you have P4s and all of these half-tracks in the area, and these guards don't come with purpose-made anti-tank, materials here, kind of hard to beat these guys.
Yeah, the Ort is managing to hold on to his forests because of that, sufficient use of armoured forces, which he has, which is keeping back infantry. I mean, you have some cheekies getting in close, but when you have 1.5 million MG-34s firing at you, you're not going to be in for a good time.
No, we'd be in a good time, though, when IL-2s come in and just shake the bejesus out of you, I don't think.
Yeah. But also in the centre, we are seeing Wreath, trying to push up a little bit through the forest positions, but Ort does have those long-range Panzer Grenadiers, the MG-42, and a Panzer IV. So once they get out into the open, they just can't really do anything, because they're just motor-strucky.
Indeed. Now, there is one superior back here who is, I think, like Saving Private Ryan. I think that's an airborne group back there right now. Of course, they're guarding that bridge. Unfortunately, I don't think any amount of sticky bombs and, Alamo plays are going to hold on to that. I think it's just one of those moments where when Ort decides to crush it, he'll crush it. It's the question of how quickly he does it.
It's just given Wreath a nice easy flag for probably a few minutes or so until the partisan defense force comes in and deal with that model superior. But once again, a 210 shooting down another aircraft, and seems like it's... Or is it going to survive the anti-aircraft gauntlet back to its base? Yeah. Oh yeah, the anti-aircraft is like mostly out of ammo, which would, be a bit of an issue, yeah, for Wreath.
Yeah, it certainly sounds that way. There's still an 88 who's shooting at another IL-2. This is not a good day. Oof, and he goes down. Jeez. This has been a horrible day to be in the air. Like, whenever we see another airframe go up, it's a better than 50% chance of getting killed.
Yeah. It's not a good day to be a Russian pilot. Up north, we are seeing a bit of a play here for Mort, clearing out that ZIS-3 position and moving along that northern hill. I feel like Orta is going to try and make some sort of play up here, the infantry being brought in, as well as moving up the King Tiger a little bit, trying to get it onto the high ground, which is definitely a good King Tiger location.
The only thing is to worry about is that Razvedka over there. I mean, it doesn't have Zooks, I don't think. No.
No, does it have... No, not even anti-tank grenades, so King Tiger's fine.
Nope, the only thing it might get is it might get one of those little whacked out, like, HE bombs that just stress him out eventually.
Yeah, but even then the King Tiger turns around and says, Guten Tag, with a long 88. You could probably poke him with the 88 at distance.
Jeremiah Golden Spurs? Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can certainly see that.
Yeah, the
SU-85 going down as well, and we're starting to get a little slim. Oh, no, there we go. SU-85s and more T-30-45s being brought on in, but that is still a thick Tiger with about 4 Ks. So, because Germans don't use these.
I see.
I'm glad you do, because I wasn't really sure. The T-34-85s are trying to engage him, and this is going to be bouncing. The best they're going to be able to do is maybe just like a stress kill. I mean, stress kill. It's a silent killer.
The King Tiger got shot at a bunch here, but not even a single, bit of stress towards him. Gets a temporary stun, but that's not going to do too much.
I think he's just stunned because he didn't expect to be shot at by T-34-85.
Yeah.
It's like, you shot at me? Are you serious?
Oh, could he?
Exactly. He's a professional. Down to the south, we have another giant wave of troops just preparing here, and there is so much in the way of just armor that if there were any infantry AT, this would be a bloody mess in favor of the Soviets. But as it stands right now, I think they're just thanking their lucky stars that the Germans aren't pounding them with any of their own artillery.
Mm-hmm. I think we're seeing a bit of counter-battery play. The Grills trying to kill the Su-122 here. As again, some pretty close hits.
They've been doing that. They've been doing that for like 10 minutes or more. I feel like most of the grill shells have been actually going there.
Yeah, seeing all the craters nearby, but yeah, Water's a pretty good commanding presence up north, and I guess his best bet is to try to cross the river to the south here and capture those 2 flags in the town. And considering that King Tiger location, to definitely be able to do that. A lot of the IL-2s have been killed, so that King Tiger isn't going to get killed by air power. So, that King Tiger is pretty much a dominating threat now, which is quite surprising for 1v1s, as usually a big, heavily armoured tank is a big target to getting killed.
It certainly seems to be the case, and right now there's Razvedka who's desperately trying to go smoking out the Tiger from behind. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
You might as well try something, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, trying to, smoke out the Tiger, quite literally. But we've got a King Tiger versus a regular Tiger here, and I think the, oh! It's done.
Unless it's an HP kill, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, thick armor really does make a huge difference. Even against a Tiger.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh god, another stun.
I'm surprised that the Su-85 hasn't been brought up a little bit further to kind of engage that Tiger, the other Tiger, by the Opal Blitz, maybe a little more effectively and efficiently. Gun jammed, that's only one way that particular matchup's going to go now. Oh, geez, okay, P4 is charging across the field, across this bridge, and I dare say Focke-Wulf coming in to pound Automachiki and guards in the center part of that field. Ugh, that was awful to watch.
Yeah, Ort is starting to get a little bit momentum now as he's starting to counterattack in the center, and once he captures those two flags up north, that's going to be pretty damn good. And we're all 7 minutes into the match, so we're definitely past the sudden death timer. So as you can see from just that plus 1 point advantage, there's only a 6 minutes for victory.
This certainly is true. And more bombs. Gonna stress out his own troops, but I think he's probably gonna guarantee that position from here on out.
Yeah.
These guards are gonna fall back into the open, and that's gonna be hideous to try to get back inside. I would really like to see this resolution down here to the south. I really, really would. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'll tell you what I want. What I really, really want.
Resolution by gunfire?
Yes, yes. Resolution by gunfire. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. But I will tell you, it's basically a firing squad for those Automachikis. Like I said, they went down in the open, those poor guys. Meanwhile, back to the north. The Tiger has a damaged antenna. And looks like the other Tiger actually... No, he didn't go down. I thought he went down for half a second here, but that is not the case. P4s engaged in T-34-85s, and as you might suspect, we're going to get a couple of crits here and there. No definitive kills, but there we go. Killing each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty dicey here from Wreath. I mean, up north he just can't really do anything because of the Tiger and King Tiger position. And now 15-9, the central position is holding on pretty well, with all the Motters frankly holding fire, hoping not to get shot back. And down south, I think the Avtos are going to try to make one final move here with the combat backing up, but I mean, a group of German medium armors is going to deny any offensive play.
It is. Of course, it is still getting hit by artillery. But, yeah, regardless.
Yeah.
And off map at 105 being called in on the forest. We are also going to see an attempted push over here in the center, but there's another King Tiger right there, and that is just not going to go well for those, again, anti-tankless infantry.
Yeah. I'm quite surprised how well the King Tigers have been working. Like, they haven't died in any suicidal pushes. Even the Tigers and Panthers have been, you know, surviving this match, all things considering. Really, it's been the German infantry which has been dying in hordes.
It is, but down to the south, we're going to see the Automachikis and the Guards making their last glorious run over here and getting pounded into the dirt. This is like on levels of, you know, Mongol cavalry in the steppes kind of thing.
And there we go.
Yeah, and look at that KD. Look at the KD.
It's like a double difference. It's absolutely nuts. And if we look at the kills,
I mean, the Soviets, they definitely had some standouts.
Yeah.
We have 137 Palm over here that killed 3 Me-210s. Of course, other than that, I mean, we have 1 Zis that killed 2 P4s, but other than that, nothing.
Yeah, no, like, heavy armor losses here from the Germans. It's all just grenadiers, half-tracks, and airplanes, and a few tanks. Like, not a single dead Tiger or Panther, which is surprising.
So I definitely want to see what that Tiger, the Zeoden over there what it kind of ends up doing. We are going to see that when we see a heavy tank on the opposite side, definitely paying for itself. Not easily, mind you, but oof. Blitz and Korte over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So between that and the mobile vac, which killed 1, that accounted for over 2/3 of the Russian air power.
What?
Those two guys.
It's a 2-centimeter flat gun, Khan. That's like the weakest. What?
We have a David and Goliath story apparently.
Shot down like 4 IL-2s. What? That is like the craziest kill feed I think I've seen.
Oh, wait till you get to Boulder. Boulder in the meantime's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 vehicle kills. And not anyone to sneeze at either. It's not like he's shooting T-70s. He's not, you know, crippling, you know, clubbing seals or, you know, going after puppies here. he's taking out main battle tanks for the Soviets, and he's taking them out in droves.
Yeah, got like a lot of good kills there, and the rest is pretty standard.
But you said you promised an explanation. So
Okay.
why are we only covering one of these particular games this week?
Okay, so to make things clear, the winner of this tournament in total is Ort Fredrinka. This was the game 1 out of a potential best of 5. Essentially, game 1 went to Ort, game 2 went to Ort, game 3 went to Wreath, and then game 4, apparently the game crashed and the replay was lost, but essentially Wreath conceded, and so Ort won by a 3-1 and won the tournament. The reason we're only casting one match is, I'll be completely frank with you, the other replays were really boring, and it's not really due to the players. I don't want to criticize them because they managed to get this bloody far. They just had very bad maps to play on. Like, one was on Krupa and it's like an hour-long slugfest. The other one was like Illuminati, which was like another hour-long slugfest where there's not really much maneuver play. This is pretty much the most energetic of the matches from the finals replay. But I also do want to comment that also with like the semi-finals cards and recasted they were also like pretty static gameplay, which is just like quite funny to see. You don't see that all that often, especially in the previous replays from this Redstorm tournament. So it's just it's a curious difference between the earlier replays to the later replays with the top players, but I think it's mainly due to the maps, because there's a lot of really bad maps in ST2, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, and that's true, but I also think because we ended up seeing a higher number of infantry divisions, which of course have a much lower, let's say, overall speed quotient, shall we say?
Yeah.
So slower kind of turnaround, slower gameplay, at the same time, much more kind of considered, measured pushes, as opposed to a thing like today, where we had lots of tanks, lots of air power, and frankly, heavy artillery too. And both sides did bring artillery in. It was just that some artillery was more dangerous than others.
Yeah. Yeah, and that map really just came down to like heavy tanks securing the victory by themselves, really. You know, that King Tiger just secured the northern flank, and the 2 centimeter flat gun secured the skies.
Exactly.
I'm still like amazed by that. Just the little flak that could.
Well, this I think is one of those blind squirrel acorn situations here, but I guess regardless of what we can say about the 2 centimeter, really, really well done over here to Ort. A very valiant effort over here by Wreath. Unfortunately, did not swing around for him on this particular series, but I think there might be. Is there another season of League play coming around the corner soon? I think.
Yeah, so considering this is the end of the Redstorm tournament, and also thank you to her, Robert, for hosting, as well as Mr. Chris for keeping the mod updated and doing all of that lovely stuff. We're going to be going back to ST League. It's Season 6 now, so we'll be covering that for the time being. And see, here will be the top of the pops of the league, and trying to get some of the best replays from, well, the tournament in general, and it should be pretty damn good, Khan.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. There's more pools, more players, and more pow, I believe, because of it. But, folks, definitely make sure you come back and see some of that here as the season really gets started. Until next time, though, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru, take it easy.